Well, first and foremost, Pamela, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
I'm so glad and so grateful because, as I said just a moment ago, like I've been watching your things, and like one of my favorite shows is Next Level Soul. And when I saw you appear on there, like I was clapping the loudest. And I just there's something about me with my own spiritual journey that I kind of get this gravitational pull to people with pure sincerity. And every time you answered a question, it was led from I don't have all the answers, but I've learned along my journey. So can you take
Oh,
people back to the start of that journey for you?
yeah, you just made me I just felt vibration all over, which is a resonance and a kind of a reflection for me and a gratefulness because that's what I aspire to be. I just want to be seen as myself, and I'm not trying to put on airs or be anybody else or act like I have all the answers. So thanks for saying that, Glenn.
It comes
Um,
through. It comes through. It really does.
yeah, yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, my story. If we go way back to the beginning, was, I grew up in, an abusive family environment. My dad was an alcoholic, and he had a lot of stuff that he was struggling with, and he had a difficult mom. So he didn't really know how to be a parent, and he had addiction to deal with. And I can look back now as a 54-year-old woman and like look at what my dad was dealing with as a young parent, as a middle-aged person, and kind of understand what he was dealing with and all the players that were in his life and him having all of his stuff. Um, but at the time, I was scared of him. I was one of two. I had my younger brother. And we lived in a house where you had to be quiet. You couldn't make any noise. He was a dictator, and you even had to like empty the dishwasher quietly so that it didn't disturb him. And you were scared when you saw him coming home and his car pulling up the driveway. You quickly got busy, and you didn't want to be the object of his attention. And there's a lot of stifling that happened with me with my voice. There's a lot of disempowerment. There's a lot of I didn't get that really strong male anchor that my father was supposed to give a young woman.
Yeah.
The confidence, the understanding of how to be treated by a man, just knowing who I was. And, there was a lot of that. Plus, layer all that creativity and that empath and that musician and that artist all over the top of that. I was so complicated. It's like, but I was always sincere and I always aligned really well with older people. I was in service. I waitressed and paid my way through college. I used to really form these amazing relationships with the older clientele because I guess maybe I saw their wisdom. I don't know. I never
Mm.
really thought about that until now, but like I probably did. I saw their genuineness or their authenticity or maybe not as much bullshit as my peers. Sorry
Yeah.
that I cursed, but as my peers that I was that I was experiencing in my youth, and I slowly arose to figure out who I was. We all do. We all make mistakes. And there was a lot of my youth where I was trying to find the right friend group, or I was trying to find myself or my voice or all the things. And it's just like life. You only find them by trying them. It's experiential learning. And I finally found, I feel like my people when I went to art school. I found all the other, like Alex said, you ran away to the circus. I was like, I
Yeah.
did, you know, but I felt like I knew who these people were because they were just like me. And that enables you to get stronger in your own power. That enables you to understand yourself more as you travel through your life, as you travel through your decades, as you travel through your experiences. You're forming the picture of who you are. And you and I have kind of talked about this body dysmorphia. I didn't know it had a label, I didn't know what it was. But my body was never like any of my friends. I am very tall, short waisted, very curvaceous, and really, really long legs. And my legs are big legs. Like my mother's family's from the mountains of Italy. I was built for walking on a mountain and working hard. And I never fit in that way either. I always had these little friends with these little bodies, and like clothes never fit me right. And we didn't have long and curvy and high waisted and all kinds of resources online. We didn't have it. And so I never really felt like I was in my comfortable in my own skin or understood even my own body. I mean, as a young woman, that's a lot, right? And you have to kind of journey through self-worth along with all of those other lessons that you're learning on your on your growing up journey and your spiritual journey. Um, I finally, when I got into the professional world, started seeing like these beautiful young women who are successful, like consider me a peer, consider me like in their category. And I remember thinking to myself, did these people like do they like do they see me? Do they know who I am? Like, do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
you're out
yeah,
of your bubble of
yeah,
growing up. You're out of your little world that you grew up in, and now you're out in the big world, and you're seeing what people see in you, and it's forming. It's that mold. You're molding and you're building, right? Um, I still have some of those friends to this very day, but they saw my big heart. They saw my empathic nature. They saw my creativity. They saw my ability to connect with people. And, they loved me for who I was, not for where I was growing up or who all the other pieces of my story. They were forming their own vision of me. And I was, growing up in my moving into my 20th decade and then my 30th decade, getting married and starting to have children. I was having my spiritual awakening journey. I didn't understand that that's what was happening at the time. I really didn't understand it. I mean, it was Christianity or Catholicism was not resonating. They were cycling those priests from one parish to the other. There was all of this, like, we're going to hide this and all this abuse happening with the kids. And I was having memories of different experiences from my youth because I went to a private Catholic grade school. And I remember being in the back of the church and I remember like us all playing. And I remember things. I never saw anything, but I remember thinking that seems off or, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, well, why are they hiding this situation? This isn't authentic. This isn't religion. If God is love and we're supposed to, God's supposed to sit on a throne and judge us when we die and say, you can have eternal life and you did well, or you're going to hell for eternal damnation. Like, I'm like, God is love. That's not love. They don't work. Those pieces, they don't go together. And it's like that breakdown started happening. And then I just couldn't bring it to my kids. I couldn't bring it to them and like raise them in something I didn't believe in. And that just like rocked everybody's worlds. Yeah. You're gonna say anything?
It's fascinating because even when you said that, then I've got so much thoughts just running through my head. But when you said you couldn't bring it to your kids, I always think that imagining it's some kind of child abuse to say you're going to hell if you do this wrong. For such
Yeah.
a malleable little mind, listening to that, and we
Mm-hmm.
know how much kids take in to hear those
Mm-hmm.
words, you
Mm-hmm.
would
It's
scare them half to death.
Yep. It's fear based.
Exactly. But going back to when you went and you had no voice and the body dysmorphia, very similar journeys like we talked about, male, female, very similar the human experience, but with body dysmorphia and the voice. Do you or have you worked out, because obviously we'll get into what you do as a trans channeler, but have you
Mm-hmm.
kind of navigated where all that came from? And did it come out as in disease in the body because you
Mm-hmm.
weren't speaking and you were suppressing everything?
Yeah, there was a lot of that with the body dysmorphia. My dad, I don't want to get into the details, but there were experiences that happened to me where I was ashamed.
Right.
And there's shame associated with that. I mean, I was ashamed to the point where I wouldn't get up out of my seat because I was ashamed. And and as you go through your spiritual journey, which turns into your healing journey, which turns into working with energy and working with healers and uncovering, things that happen in this life, things that happen in past lives, you start to understand all of that.
Mm.
There's abuse that was like a thread through my story from other lives that came into this life. So I understood it more that way also. And then I understood that I, had all this trauma down there. I had emotional, physical, had a energy trauma like from my waist down. And that was really, I had a lot of shame that I carried for years. It's terrible to say. And I don't think I've ever said that publicly before. Um, but only through love from others, self-love have I been able to work through that. And I'm 54 years old now, and I finally feel like I'm owning my body in a way that I never did before, and almost like a who gives a shit sort of way,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I love myself, I love who I am, I love what I'm doing. And, there would have been times when I wouldn't walk around freely in a bathing suit and feel comfortable. I was just away in Mexico, and my beloved, there's pings of it that I'll feel like, oh God, like, does this look okay? Or do I look all right? Or whatever it is. And I was walking down the dock, and he was at the other end of the dock, and I saw him looking at me, and I'm like, there's this like spark that goes off in my head, and I just ignore it. And then as I'm walking closer, he goes, "Hello, pretty lady." Like he knows me, and we know each other in such a beautiful way. He knows my pains, and he knows my what I suffered with and all that stuff. And it's when someone loves you so unconditionally that they give you that love that you need, that you maybe didn't have in that way in your life. It's also healing. It's healing. And when we have these higher level relationships as we grow older, and we understand who we are, and we're able to bring something better and higher to a relationship, we're helping each other heal. There's things I'm helping him heal.
I can remember going through body dysmorphia, even to my wife, and it's almost like you want someone to agree with you. That was my
Mm-hmm.
way. It was almost like, can you not see what I'm seeing? Can you not just to
Mm-hmm.
fight in your head? And by the end, there was one time when my wife just turned around and said, "Do you want me to say yes?"
Right.
And
Right.
then that was it. That was all the justification. And she didn't even say yes. So body dysmorphia is one
Mm-hmm.
of those things. But can you remember
Mm-hmm.
the first time going back, looking in that mirror and actually saying, "Pamela, there's nothing wrong with you. I love you.
Right.
I love your legs. I love every part of your body." Can you remember that?
Right. Yeah, it's recently. I mean, these are just the last several years we're talking, honest to God.
Mm.
It's been a long journey. And you know, you have to start loving yourself to be able to heal that part of you, because that's the job. The job is loving yourself. And we're learning love in every lesson of our life. But our ultimate goal is to learn love on planet Earth, but to love ourselves, to help heal ourselves. Yeah, there was a moment when I looked in the like I started this really rigorous, not aggressive, but like I moved, sold my house, got rid of all my belongings, made a huge life change last year. And last year was my first full year of living here. And in January, I wasn't feeling well. I had COVID. I had all these things, and I threw my back out. I proclaimed 2025 my year of feeling good and my year of good health. And so I hired a trainer, I hired a nutritionist, and I had all this data that was like wonderful to have by these body scans and all this cool stuff I never did before. So instead of like spending money on my house and maintenance and all, I was like, I'm spending money on me.
Mm.
This is what I'm spending money on this year. And I felt so strong. I saw my body change. I understood food and macros and what I needed. I understood weights and lift, how many weights I needed to lift and how many times a week and all the things, like this whole recipe together. And I actually looked in the mirror and I was like, you look good. You look strong. You look fit, but you feel it too. You feel all those things too. Um, so yeah, it was, I could say, honestly, just recently. Hmm.
Wow. And that's when I
Yeah.
said at the beginning of this podcast, like the sincerity that comes out of you, because like we know, and I just want to talk about trans channeling, what you do and how you help guide people. But as we see through social media these days, we see it highlighted. And I often say there's Tom, Dick, and Harry, and sometimes spiritual ego. And you honestly
Hmm.
don't know until you gain discernment of what's real, what's not, when you're seeking, when you're searching. And again, that was
Hmm.
my kind of disconnection between I went through spiritual awakening, as I said, but I love what you said there was going, I didn't know what it was. So I used to
Hmm.
Google and everyone's like, there's 7 stages. Then I heard 14 and I go like, tick, I've done that. I seem to have done that. I seem to Where's this whole shebang that everybody talks about on social media?
Hmm.
I had a dream and baptism came in and I went to the church, I got water baptized, and I was like, again, where's this whole shebang? I was expecting like to speak in tongues and the Holy Spirit fill me, and it was this weird thing. So that's the sincerity that comes through you, which drew me to you, because I'm just like,
Yeah.
sometimes I think people need to hear. maybe there isn't this big shebang. So for
It
you,
isn't. And
yeah,
it's amazing that you're saying this because
yeah,
I just spoke with someone last evening who's been a part of my spiritual entrepreneur. I was in a global spiritual entrepreneur group for several years. And I met this person a couple of years ago. I went on a conference call with the group. Maybe it's been 2 years since I spoke with him. I saw his pure essence coming through in a way that it wasn't before. And there's all the recipes, all the labels, all of the, the books, all of the accomplishments, all of the terms, all of the thing. You don't need it all. You don't need it all. The way that we're talking about authenticity, that's how spirit and universe want you to approach them. It's true and honest. It it's true and honest, right? You don't need to have, I mean, this is how I feel and this is my experience. If you sit with your heart open and you are in a state of vibration that is open and expansive, you're basically connecting and plugging in. If you sit with that intention of wanting to connect and wanting to sit in your highest and best and wanting to, whatever it is the line item is, whatever it is you desire to bring to the world, if you want to sit with that intention, if that's all you need that honest intention, that vibration, that frequency to shoot it out into the world. And you don't need bells and whistles, and you don't need labels and diagrams, and you don't need systems and check boxes, and you don't need tools and classes. Those things will come in an honest way that meets your integrity where it is,
mm,
and you'll see it. The thing you need is your greatest tool, which is your spirit. It's your intuition. It's your guide. If you put it in the front every single time you make a decision, you make a choice, you make a movement in your life, you put it in as your dial with love at the front, your spirit at the front, you'll never lose. You'll never lose. And when I say that, maybe you have to use it like anything else. So you have to learn how to use it,
yeah,
right? Just like anything, you have to learn how to use it. It's just like when I say to everyone, if you're a musician, you're learning a new sheet of music. You're a painter, you're starting a new painting. You're anything. You learn through the struggle. You have to go through it. You can't go around it or above it, on the side of it. You got to go through it. And that's how you learn. That's how you learn. And I don't know. It's just, like I said on the podcast with Alex, my deepest desire is to help people. I just enjoy that so much. That's my soul's purpose. And I will meet anyone where they're at to see where they're, because we're all on our own unique journey.
yeah,
And that might be trying all the books, trying this, trying that, sitting in ego and doing all these things or joining all these groups. And that's your learning process.
yeah,
Then that's your journey. And then you realize you didn't need that. And I mean, that's the whole thing. And I think that that's fascinating to witness. I witnessed it yesterday. It was awesome. It was so great because I was so happy for that person and their soul.
Well, the stuff that you say, because it's so sincere and it comes through, you just confirm that to me because I was looking and thinking, well, how's God working with me? How's my guides working? Maybe they're just going, oh, we'll let Glenn do all the work, but we're not. But essentially, you're guided all along the way. And I think that's sincerity because I always had a big love-hate relationship, partly because of marketing with this word authenticity. And I'm like, my
Mm,
whole journey has kind of like unraveled, and what I thought I'd want. I didn't want, and how God has
mm,
used me and pivoted me and took me that way and that way. I was like, this has just blown my mind. How
mm-hmm,
taking photos and showing the
mm-hmm,
authenticity, the realness of people and bringing them back to the basics, how something or someone with no experience, no network, no money, except a job that pays his bills, could take
mm-hmm,
something to the world. And
mm-hmm.
that I wanted to bring out to the world. But you just confirmed it there. So when you were,
That's your job. That's your job. That's you finding your way into
yeah,
doing that in a greater way. So everything you've done in your entire life has brought you to this moment.
yeah,
And you were, I mean, to be able to capture emotion through your talent, when you are tapping into your talent, when you are tapping into your passion, all the things that
yeah,
fill you up and make you feel so good and excited, you're tapping into spirit, you're tapping into the universal energy, you're tapping into God. So you did that and you learned how to connect with that inner part of someone that way.
Yeah.
And then so that's that learning process. And then you're moving into whatever the next piece of your work is. And you'll continue to do that through your life's journey. You'll continue to do it and build it stronger. And if you ask God to continue to show you, if you don't know, uh, I was just saying this yesterday. I can get overwhelmed. I'm running two businesses. I've got kids and family and 100 million things at the same time. And I'm a creative and my energy's all over the place. So if I lay down in bed and my head's going crazy and I'm like, zoom, 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 like lightning.
Yep.
And I'm like, should I do this? Should I do that? And what's the best thing to do for the platform? And sometimes spirit will just stop everything and just interest, like come right in. And I was confused. I didn't know what to do. And I have it here. I have it here on a sticky. I have it on my computer. Spirit said, I don't know what direction to move in next, Spirit. Please show me. I just heard it loud and clear. So I got up and wrote it down and I put it on my computer. And when I get overwhelmed, you just return. It's like you're returning to boom. You're just going boom. I don't know what direction to go in next, Spirit. Please show me, God. Please show me. And if you do that with your heart open, well, you're going to get an answer.
Yeah.
So something's coming your way. I'll tell you that right now, you know,
It's that
and
whole
you tap
control
into
narrative,
it.
isn't it? It's societal conditioning. We have to know. And I remember, I'll tell you quickly, I first went on the TV with this, and it was the knowing. Is it a charity? Is it a non-for-profit? And I was like, it
Yeah.
takes away the moment of what's being created. We have to know because of societal conditioning. And
Hmm.
it was going to be a charity. And then something, I got that twist in my gut going, no, this is not the conventional way. So it never has.
Hmm.
I saw myself as Robin Hood, taking from the companies and pouring in because I didn't want to take donations
Yeah.
or anything. But moving into the exciting part, when did you start realizing with the trance channeling? And can you explain what that is for any of our audience members that don't know what that is?
Yeah. That's a great question. Thanks for saying that because a lot of people don't know what it is,
Hmm.
especially people who are just starting on the spiritual journey, because there's a lot of people who are waking up right now. They don't know what it is. They're tuning in that dial, like the guide said on Alex. I loved what they said, by the way. I was like, what the heck are they going to say? But when they talked about religion and people are tuning into that dial to try and figure out what it is that they want, um, trance channeling is, I mean, there's no easy way to say it. I had to do a lot of work on my energy body. So we are all energetic spiritual beings having a physical experience on planet Earth in three-dimensional reality. Our motherboard, basically, the programs and the energy that runs our body is our soul. And our physical body is amazing and divine and runs on its own program and it knows when to breathe and when to sleep, all the things. Um, but we come in our energy body through multiple different lives, occupying different three-dimensional. Well, you can live in other frequencies, but just to do the baseline thing, when we come and we are reincarnated onto the three-dimensional plane and we inhabit another one of these, our energy body is imprinted with our experiences from those different incarnations. So you bring with you your whole bag of tricks every time you come back again. And so your whole entire lesson on planet Earth is to learn love, is to heighten your frequency. Love is the highest frequency there is. And you do that through experiences. You do that through lessons, through understanding. I came after having tried to be a spiritual teacher and help people open up their eyes many of my past lives. And I know this because I've done work with energy workers to start with. I've done work and, shamanic journeys, and I did ayahuasca and plant medicine. But then I worked with my guides one on one. And I went through and I relived. This sounds far out to some people, but just hear me out. I relived a lot of those past life deaths It was incredible work I was doing by myself after I came back from my ayahuasca journey. I didn't share that on the podcast. Um, but I sat every morning with intention because all the dots kept aligning for me, Glenn. Like the breadcrumb would come, and I would know to gobble it up and to take whatever the next step was. And then the universe was like, okay, you are listening to your spirit. You are living spirit first. Here's more experiences to take you on your path. And I was doing that. And I got to the point where with Rhythmia, I was able to release some of that karmic energy and the vibration, the low vibration of that, to let my energy body become more robust and more robust, higher and higher and higher frequencies, that I was able to heighten my frequency. There's other beings that live in different dimensions, and they exist in different frequencies. They were able to lower theirs, and we were able to kind of tune in to the same channel, and I was able to receive that information. So trance channeling is my consciousness is awake, but I'm sort of off to the side. I am an allowance, and I've worked with the guides, so I know how to do it. I'm still learning. Um, it didn't just happen overnight, but I basically, we're on a team. Like I visualize myself getting my briefcase, going up with this white channel of light into this conference room where I say, I'm ready to work with you. Like we're ready to do this together. I'm an active participant. And they are able to, they were able to start working with me. And the very, very, very beginnings of it, I'm sort of in a trance. That's why it's called trance channeling. The very beginnings of it is I am a conduit. I am almost like a guitar, right? The strings get plucked, ping, and there's a frequency. I am able to house the frequency to come down and to use my vocal cords for the sound to come out, or to use my intelligence and my typing and my, I speak English, to use my language to get their messages down. So it was intense at first, and it can be intense, like you saw. They come in like rah, they want to they want to share. But when I channel and do my typing, there's an exchange that happens, and we work together. So it's trance-like, and then they're channeling, they're moving energy through my channel. Isn't that cool?
It's
Yeah. Does it make
incredible.
sense?
And to watch it was fascinating. But a question that I'm led to ask you is, like you said, it took a while. For anybody listening who's seeking and searching, and we're all on this unique path, because of social media and everything being heightened and everybody on a spiritual path, then there's this kind of spiritual ego where somebody has just come into it and they know everything.
Yeah.
With you being so honest and saying it takes a while to learn, what is the best way for anyone to cut out that noise of everybody
Hmm.
saying this, that, and the other, to go on your unique
Hmm.
journey and then realize when certain things are happening? So for me, for example, it was auras. I've seen them for years. I never knew what they were. So
Oh,
Zoom used
wow.
to annoy me. So I'd interview people and I couldn't see the face. It was just colours. And then I started getting ringing in my right ear. And I still
Uh-huh.
get, I can sit here and I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? Have you got a message for me? Have you got,
Mm-hmm.
the time I heard it auditory, I was on a friend with a channeler and we was voice noting and I got this message back and it was static and two women talking and I heard the word mental health. And then I wasn't listening to them because I got back to Eden and I was like, can you turn your bloody TV down? I said, I can't hear what you're saying. I can just hear talking. Turn your TV down. And she came back and she was like, Glenn, I'm in a room on my own. There's
Wow.
nothing. And when I told her that, she said, welcome. You can hear audibly. Never happened again
Mm-hmm.
because I think I went in my
Mm-hmm.
logic too much. But she
Mm-hmm.
said that's when it starts. So for anybody from your experience, cutting out the noise, what are the little signs or synchronicities that you know that something's trying to awaken in you or your guides are trying to tell you something?
Yeah. Well, they know where you are as far as your abilities. We all have the ability to do this. I'm not special. I'm not unique. The ringing in the ears, by the way, is one of the contact um, what's the word I'm looking for? Experiences. They're trying to dial in. They're working with the crystals in your ear. They're trying to communicate more and more with you.
I thought it
Um,
was
you know,
tinnitus. Is it tinnitus? I'll check
it's
it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's happening a lot. Actually, there's people in my community, in my spiritual community, who are having. We have a group called Ascension Symptoms. This is one of them.
Mm.
As your vibration raises, you are ascending in your frequency, and you have symptoms. So to answer your question, it doesn't all happen like very quickly. You have to have a desire inside of you. You have to have a desire to learn more. You have to have a conviction that you send out to the universe that you are open to it. And that's what happens. With me, it was like a shattering of my reality. Open my eyes wide open to something new. And I went in more and more and more and more and more and more of it. I just wanted to devour everything. So it was books and it was experiences and it was conversations and it was all the things. That's how it starts. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, what is yoga nidra? Let me do that. And so you become inquisitive with the universe and you're saying, I want to learn more. And you go to a yoga nidra class and it's where you're meditating basically. And you start to see colors in the peripheral of your eyes. And you're like, I want to learn more. And then you do something a little more deeply. And then you say, you hear about the chakras and you're like, I want to know about the chakras. And you do a deep dive in the chakras. And then you are just following this path, these breadcrumbs into moving more deeply with intention. And when you do that, you'll be in the supermarket. You'll see a person you haven't thought of in years that crossed your mind the day before. And they're like, oh my God, Glenn, it's so good to see you. How are you? Good. How are you? Oh, yeah, I'm leading this Reiki retreat and you should come and check it out. That's how it happens. So your job is to say yes.
But
Your
how do you
job
know
is to say
if it's
yes.
sorry? How do you know if it's real for you? Because there was a point where I kept getting led towards this ayahuasca, this plant medicine, but
Mm-hmm.
something in my gut kept telling me no. So whether that was a not
That's,
yet, and then
mm-hmm.
further down, a friend of mine started doing it and does Chinese medicine and everything, and actually gave me like I think it was a month's worth of like ayahuasca, but he said you better do
Mm-hmm.
it with someone who can guide you. And they sat on my desk for 6 months,
Yeah.
and did them. So
Yeah.
are some
You
people's
knew.
journey different that you don't have to do it, or it's just a different path for everybody?
It is. And I was going to say, you have to use your gut. You have to use your intuition for everything. And I always say, because this was me, if you don't know if you should do it, then you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah.
If you can't move forward, then you're not supposed to do it yet. So if you sit and look at something and it doesn't feel like I don't know if I, then you're not supposed to do it yet. So
Mm,
you that's the learning how to use the tool. That's the learning how to listen with your spirit first. You're letting your spirit say, "Yeah, Glenn, this is good for you," or "No, not right now. Let's sit on this," because you don't have to make a decision. That's the beautiful thing, is
yeah.
you don't have to make one yet. But there might be a time, and that there will be a time where you feel like it's time, and there'll be a yearning inside of you, and nothing will stop you, you know. But if, say, your desire at that time in your life was to find authentic relationships and authentic experiences with the right group of people and the right, say, you said to the universe, I really want to find my tribe of authentic people that I can trust, that I can that I can go and be carried through with these experiences. Well, you're going to get a lot of all kinds of people because the universe wants to have you use your discernment so that you can
Yeah.
learn, because they're not just, you know what I mean? It is a learning experience. Just like when you say, this is bullshit. I'm breaking up with this person. I'm tired of this shit. I'm not doing this anymore. I will not do that anymore. Okay, you break up with them, fine. That's great. You think you're just going to get exactly what? No, there's going to be a carrot that comes, right? You know, whenever the time is right, it's going to be more of that. And the universe is going to say, show me, Pamela, show me, show me that you don't want more of that. Show me, show me, show me. And you have to find it inside of you and use the tools and do the work and say, no, no matter how attracted you are, no matter how exciting it is, no matter what, I'm putting my spirit first. I am holding myself in high regard, holding myself in high regard. And that's all you're doing, really. If you look at, baby Glenn, child Glenn, you would protect that person, that little person. I would protect my version of myself that's, vulnerable. It's the same thing, but you're holding them in high regard. So you want nothing, you want only greater than, nothing less than, only this greater than, always. And it's funny because someone after Next Level Soul, they can people can work with me. They can hire me to do. I connect with their guides and I channel a message. So someone hired me for that, and this woman submits a video, and her question was, "I'm really being pulled towards plant medicine. I'm very serious about my spiritual awakening journey, but I don't know if it's the time for me. I might even join a plant medicine based church. Can my guides tell me if this is the right move?" And the guide said, no, no, it's not time yet. Because she already knew it. She just needed someone
Yeah.
her guides to confirm it with her. It is not the right time yet. The guides asked her to sit with conviction and with regular, times every day to connect with them in an authentic and true way where she could remember. Because she's learning how to connect. A lot of people, just like with anything else, they want to bypass and get to it quick. And they think that plant medicine is going to do that.
Yeah.
It's no joke. Plant medicine is no joke. You
Yeah.
do not want to mess with that unless you have to be in the right frequency. You have to be with the right people. You have to have the right intentions. Everything has to be aligned for you, and you have to be ready for it. And, I, and it's 444 on my phone, US time. That's an angel number. So
Yeah.
someone needed to hear that. Maybe it was you. But it's true. It's true. And when the time is right and you heard my story, it falls in your lap effortlessly in a divine, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful way. Because as you travel this, you asked, how will we know? How will we know? You exercise the muscle of using your intuition and your spirit. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Then your clear senses start to open up. You
Mm.
start to see and hear and know and get connections and feel, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's how we are innately supposed to be. We are sentient beings. We are supposed to be using those tools, not not gauges and social media and checklists and all these things that have been presented to us and we've been born into that are our reality. We're supposed to be speaking with people clairvoyantly. We're supposed to be the creators of our reality and pulling in and creating what we want. Like we've been dumbed down from all of that. So it's a remembrance of how to use all those tools. That's a
Well,
lot. It's a
so,
lot. I gave you a
so
lot.
it's incredible wisdom. But there's a question that I ask everyone that come on the show, and I think it'd be really profound in hearing the wisdom that you've got with it because of what you've gone through, your experiences, body dysmorphia, finding your voice, and now trans channeling and helping other people. What does being imperfectly perfect mean to you? And
Mm.
how do you see living into that authenticity, that pure essence of who you are? Because we know through marketing and this fast route to success and what we see, we can even see when people are not living into who they are.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's because societal conditioning and what we've been seeing. So
Hmm.
what does imperfectly perfect mean to you? And how do you live into your true essence of who you really are?
Taking the risks, moving through fear, being okay, but knowing like spirit has your back. Like what I did with Next Level Soul. That was freaking scary, man. I was going and I talked to the guides and I was like, you guys need to come out and make sense. Like I'm flying to Austin, Texas to be on this podcast, to just be me. I'm not putting on airs. I mean, that's what Imperfectly Perfect is, just being yourself, 100% owning who you are and being afraid to make mistakes. And, I was in a David Bowie tribute band for nearly 10 years. I was a performer growing up. I played classical music, and I found all my weirdos again late in life in my 40s. And we would dress up and glam rock, and we had stages and fans, and it was fun. But there was something about me. I was always afraid to forget the lyrics. It must be like this karmic thing that I have. I was always afraid. And I have an absolutely powerful, beautiful voice. I was never trained. I just knew, and I've always known that I could be an opera singer. I just always known about myself. And Something kept telling me, you need to go on stage. You need to push yourself. You need to get on stage. You need to push yourself. And I mean, when I was a kid, I would be shaking, getting ready to go out and sweating to play piano with these people. It was a conservatory and it was like a big deal. And everyone was all like, into themselves. And I knew I had to get out on that stage. If I made a mistake, and I did, if I forgot a lyric, and I did, you got to keep doing it and not care and just keep doing it and take the risks and keep doing it and push through fear and just being yourself, being yourself. And that's what I'm doing now. And I think that we get to do that until the day that we die and we leave this physical plane.
And you can see, I just find it so ironic listening to you that it always seems to be creatives and empaths, like we all are, whatever visual medium it is. But we almost start our journey pushing ourselves back and pushing everyone else forward, like I did with the campaign. You do
Yeah.
what you do. Alex pushes everyone else forward on Next Level Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
coming more and more forward because the amount of times I've reached out and going, I need to see episodes with Alex because he's got an incredible story. And I want you on my show, Alex, but he doesn't really do shows much. And I'm like, it's almost like the guides are going, you are the people.
Yes.
There is a truth in you that people need to see. And I had a dream one night. It was weird. I saw three figures. I thought it was my guide, and there was pointing to a stage curtain. It was the first time I ever
Ooh.
had a dream like this. And I thought, so you're beckoning me to go through this curtain. I couldn't see who they were, what they were. I just knew they were three figures. Went through, I was in an auditorium on a stage, and now I speak. So, like, things have happened to me, and I get guided by feathers all the time. I'll ask something to my guides and say, "Okay, show me a big white feather," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are the serendipitous moments. But do you find an irony that it always seems to be creatives? They'll take
Mm-hmm.
the big
Yeah.
step, but they always push other people to the front at the beginning.
Yeah. But creatives are more connected. It's
Right.
not a better or worse thing, but they are. They're tapping into spirit, into inspiration, into that flow of creative energy more than people who are not creative. So there's already this like thread to the divine happening. You're channeling when you're in creativity, when you're playing a beautiful piece of music, when you're capturing the essence of people, when you are in that creative state. And you can even be, runner's high or whatever the thing is that you're doing. um, we are connected to people in that state. We are the empaths, so naturally we do put others in front of us because we worry about other people's feelings. We worry about the what ifs. We what about what are they going to do and how are they going to receive it and how are they going to feel and all the things. So we do put ourselves back, and that's the lesson here, is that you are putting yourself. You're not to anyone else's detriment, or to hurt anyone else, but there are, and I say this so many times to my community, when you are trying to live in a higher state of consciousness, when you are using discernment and you are holding yourself in high regard, you are really looking at every single facet of your life. Who am I spending time with? What conversations am I having? Really, are they serving me? Are they serving my energy? Are my friendships really pure and like authentic? Are they? Are there people that are depleting you? Or do they lift you up and tell you, and they're there for you and they care for you and you can't wait to speak with them? You know, it's your job to kind of cut the fat as you become more and more open and aware of your vibration, your reality, and what you want. And a lot of the times, people just, it's a natural state. I'm sure you've experienced it. I have too, where as you travel through your life, you do experience and meet a lot of people. And some are like quick starters who just like make you like so excited and can't wait to be with them. But then they might not be completely authentic and they're not going to be that everlasting person that's kind of there for you, and you have a heart to heart connection. And then there are others that have been there your entire life, that that you could count on. You could they'd be there for you like in heartbeat. And you know, the food, the news, the music, all of it. All of it. It's all about vibration. There's spatterings of negativity that are constantly coming at you all day long, every day. Like
Yeah.
you have to pay attention to what you're paying attention to.
Where it
Really.
goes. So
Mm-hmm.
I've just got two questions for you, and just this is the profound essence of like you being brought up and there was a religion. I was never brought up, so I suppose I was an open, just a book. But
Mm-hmm.
the more and more through my journey, when faith came into it, and I say God found me, and I was around pe certain people, and I saw this religious side. There was only a point of me, and I believe that a guide came through, a person on my podcast, when it came to the point of this righteous lifestyle. And I was trying to uphold it because I thought, pertaining to what everyone else was talking about with
Mm-hmm.
religion, you can't swear, you can't drink, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't. And in the end, a guy came on my podcast, and his was a different experience with, he was a rugby player for a big rugby team, and he was the first openly gay rugby player. And he was brought up around religion until he turned around and said to God, I can't do this anymore. I need to be who I am. And then his life
Mm-hmm.
was spectacular. So different
Mm-hmm.
experience, but the same thing. I was like, I've created something called Imperfectly Perfect. I can't be righteous. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry. So what's your message? And again, personal experience from anybody who was, I'll say, indoctrinated into faith and thinking that
Mm-hmm.
they have to be so rigid and righteous and
Mm-hmm.
like you can see how fear-based is stuck in so many people's mind with that. And I think
Yeah.
religion on based on love is an incredible thing. You're looking to God, your guides. I think it's incredible. So just putting it out there to anybody listening, because I know sometimes it causes controversy with people. But
Yeah.
again, personal journeys, personal beliefs. What would you say in that
Mm-hmm.
respect?
I would say that it's okay to question, that that's what you're supposed to do, and that there isn't a barrier or a gateway between you and God. You have a divine, straight connection with God. So, there's lots of great lessons, there's lots of great rituals, there's lots of great people inside of religion. Whatever feeds you is what works. And, you know, um, there's lots of rules in religion. There's lots of rules. There's just lots of rules. It's the way it was set up. So I would say approach each one of them separately and say, does this work for me or doesn't it? Because you don't want to backstab people and you want to treat the person the way you would want to be treated. Yeah, of course you would. And Jesus was a spreader of love. He was a spreader of love. He taught of love. That's a wonderful thing. There's lots of amazing, amazing lessons, but with the rigidity of it is what doesn't resonate with people, and the rules and the fear and that sort of thing. So I would think, just navigate your path lightly, give yourself a break and see what resonates with you and what doesn't. And, uh, listen, you are human having a human experience. This is what you're here for, right?
Yeah, I think
So
that's
you're going to make
beautiful.
mistakes, and that's okay. And forgiveness to yourself is a beautiful thing. Cutting yourself a break and understanding, as long as you're like self reflecting and understanding yourself, not looking outside for anything but yourself and God. Have your own relationship with God. I always had a relationship with God, whether I was inside of religion or not. And I always never felt like I needed a priest to speak to God. I always felt like I could, even when I was in Catholicism, um, I always knew Jesus was my man. He always had my back, always had my back. I would be, in situations at home, or I would be afraid to wake my parents, or I forgot to do something, or like Jesus would wake me up. He would always like be there. Like he just always had me. And anytime I went for long trips, I would always, I don't know why. It's not like I was spiritual. I just was very connected to him. I would always look up in the sky and say, yeah, I still do it now. I did it the other day. Like, please let me get to my destination free from harm, with a safe trip, free from harm. And I say in Jesus' name, because I just believe him. I love him so much. I just do. And I believe I must have been friends with him. I must have been friends with him way back when. We must have hung out or something. I don't know. I
Oh,
must have been following him around on the planes, and hanging around near him or something. But I think it's all good. Whatever it is that you believe that serves you, that helps you to live a better life, that feels in resonance and on purpose, that's what works.
Well, I mean, like, there was so much wisdom in that. And my last question was going to be, and what I often see is obviously I listen to podcasts and I see people like yourself, you trans channel, and people kind of want you to trans channel on there, or there's a big sports star or a movie star, and they want them to talk about those. I like to keep it about the person, right? So I would say, obviously, all of this has been divinely led, and what's come out, I always say, is wisdom that's come from above, not just us. What is your message for anybody, our audience, that
Yeah.
you just want them to take away?
Right now, I want everyone to stop fighting. I just want them to stop fighting. There's nothing to fight about. Stop fighting. Like literally just stop fighting. There's a position, there's a place for everyone to be heard. There's a way for everyone to treat everyone with respect and to be in a position to hold space for other people. The guides keep saying, stop fighting. You are paying attention and worrying about things that aren't important. Worry about working on your frequency because there's a shift that's coming to our world. And just like, bowling pins, you want to get knocked down with any sort of event that happens where you're getting fear, or you want to be strong. You want to be strong. So you work on your independent frequency. You work on yourself. You look at the things we talked about. Who you spending time with? What are you eating? What are you thinking about? And you get yourself into a place where you feel really good about your life, about your work, about your relationships, about everything. And you have and work on your connection with spirit and you're good because fighting is it's a tactic. It's a distraction and we're told to fight. So I just want everyone to know that that's been like the thing that I continue to tell people because they don't even know they're doing it. That's the thing.
Mm,
They don't even know they're doing it. They don't have to do it.
yeah.
They don't have to do it.
Mm. So my last one would be tell us a little bit about your program, how you help people heal, and where people can find out about your book.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for asking me that. Um, I have a beautiful spiritual community that I lead that I was told to create in 2020. It's called Spirit Calling. So you can go to spirit-calling.com. There is a 7-day free trial. Everyone is welcome to come in and have the full experience. Nothing is held back. We have community gatherings. It's like a giant Zoom room that I built inside of the community. We had one last night. It was awesome. And, it's kind of ironic because a lot of the people that are new members are all going through the same thing. Lost my job, changed my job, lost my house, lost everything. Everyone is having a shedding where they get to rebuild and create exactly what it is that they want to create for their future. And we shared a message from the Great Council of Light that I do once a month. And then we have a custom curated sound healing that I make. This woman, Nicole Gibbs, makes. She's incredibly talented. She taps into the world's energy. She taps into the frequency of the community, and she makes it at the frequency to help support us. And it's beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. So that's included with your membership. And there's a resource library with books and videos and things that I experienced on my spiritual awakening journey that I know would help people. And it's like a spiritual Facebook. It's really cool. There's groups. There's like it's neat. It's really cool. So I have that, and then people are also able to work with me one on one. One thing that was really important to me, Glenn, was that people were able to access me no matter what kind of financial situation they were in. So I'm very active in the community, and it's so inexpensive to be a part of the community. And then there's 3 different ways to work with me so that I give people options. So there's a channel message I can do. I tap into their guides. I mean, I can get answers to questions. It's amazing. This young man came to me, found me on TikTok. He and his wife had this desire, this plan they've built to move to the coast of California for the second phase of their life with their young girls. He couldn't do it. He didn't know why. They looked at many, 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 many houses. They couldn't do it. He was being pulled to the mountains. His guides gave him guidance on what to do. They told him to sell his house. They told him to move to this one location. He sold his house effortlessly. He got offered a position within his company to the location that he wanted to. Like he made changes, like he just made a decision and like everything lined up for him. And then I do like these deep dives where I channel a message and then I'm able to help strategize. What does this mean? And how does it get applied to your life? And then there's a 3-month bundle of doing that. And I I can actually work with. It's amazing. I love it. I love it.
But it
It
is.
fuels me. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's art. It's my art, you know? It's like it's a painting for me. It's like it's just it's so satisfying.
And
It's igniting.
what's the website and the Instagram handle where people can actually, because guys,
Yeah.
seriously, like when once you've listened to this episode, go listen to Next Level. Oh, with like everything
Yes.
right in it. It's
Yes,
incredible what you do.
it is. So if you go to TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, I put out on TikTok and YouTube, I put out prediction videos. I see global events. I see things are coming to the planet. I see things. They've told me so many things that have happened, that are happening in the future. So I share them there. So that's Spirit Calling Pamela. And then Facebook is Spirit Calling Live the Call. And then I have a podcast called Live the Call, and you can find that on YouTube too. And I think that's pretty much it. I have a new TV show that's coming out, and it's a new emerging network that's kind of taking a long time to emerge. um,
Good
it's a
things
TV
take
show.
time.
They do take time. It's called Divine Wisdom. So I channel messages from the Great Council, and we do a meditation, and we share the message, and I take questions from the community or the audience and answer them. It's really cool. So there's lots of ways to find out about me. Go to Next Level Soul and watch that too. It just came out a couple of weeks ago.
It was incredible. Well,
Yeah.
it just never ceases to me amaze me. And you can ask your guides actually later on if they confirm this, that all I've been seeing is green, blue, purple. That's the
Wow.
complexity around you. You don't have one,
Okay.
you have three. So you can ask you guys later and say, was he correct? That's all I see
Okay.
with people. So yours was just like emanating green, blue, and purple. So
Okay. I have to write that
don't
down.
ask me
Blue
what
and
they mean
purple.
yet, because that's my way. I keep going to my guides. I'm like, come on, come more to me now. I want to help people a lot more. And you know, when you get
Yes.
going, you are helping through what you're doing, but it's still that kind of you're going,
Yes.
oh, I want more. So I know there's a big journey, but I know at
Yeah.
the same time it happens when it's meant to. I think I've come at ease with that. Like,
Yeah. But you can
I
ask.
control it.
You can ask for big things, Glenn. You ask.
Yeah.
You ask. You
Come
write it down and you see it come out of your mind on that paper and start realizing it. And
on.
then you ask them. You say, what is the next thing they're going to show me? So instead of a feather, say, I want to see XYZ. You ask them and watch it happen.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, we heard the one
Hmm.
about the ball on the next level soul with yourself.
I
So,
know.
but I
It's
just want to,
awesome.
I just want to say, Pamela, what you do is absolutely incredible. I'll put all the links up to where people can find you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you on behalf of myself, on behalf of the Imperfectly Perfect campaign, because again, as a collective, it's making a difference with people waking up. So thank you for everything that
Thank
you
you.
do.
You're so very welcome. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'd love to have you on my podcast too, so
Oh,
we
thank
can set
you.
that up. Yeah,
What a
to hear your
blessing. What
story.
a blessing. Thank you very much.